Neale, hello, God. It's great to be speaking with you. God, hello, Neale. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. How may I assist you today? Neale, I have been thinking a lot about the concept of responsibility lately. I want to know your thoughts on it. God, responsibility is an important aspect of human life. It is the ability to respond to a situation or circumstance. It is what makes us accountable for our actions. Neale, I understand that. But sometimes, I feel like the burden of responsibility is too heavy to carry. I feel like I can't handle it all. God, responsibility can feel overwhelming at times, but it is important to remember that it is also a privilege. It gives you the power to make a difference in your life and in the lives of others. Neale, that's true. But how do we know what our responsibilities are? How do we know what we should be doing? God, your responsibilities are determined by your purpose. Everyone has a unique purpose in life, and it is up to them to discover what that purpose is. Once you know your purpose, your responsibilities become clear. Neale, how do we discover our purpose? God, your purpose is something that comes from within. It is the reason you were put on this earth. To discover your purpose, you must look deep inside yourself and listen to your heart. You must also pay attention to the signs that the universe sends you. Neale, that sounds like a difficult process. What if we never discover our purpose? God, everyone has a purpose, Neale. It is never too late to discover yours. If you are having trouble finding it, ask for guidance. Pray, meditate, and seek the advice of others. Your purpose will reveal itself to you when the time is right. Neale, I understand. But what about when we know what our responsibilities are but feel like we can't fulfill them? God, it is important to remember that you are never alone in fulfilling your responsibilities. You have the support of the universe and of the people around you. It is also important to ask for help when you need it. There is no shame in asking for assistance. Neale, that's true. But what about when we make mistakes? How do we take responsibility for them? God, taking responsibility for your mistakes is a sign of maturity and growth. It shows that you are willing to learn and improve. When you make a mistake, own up to it, and take steps to correct it. Apologize if necessary, and do what you can to make things right. Neale, that's great advice. But what about when others don't take responsibility for their mistakes? How do we deal with that? God, it can be frustrating when others don't take responsibility for their mistakes. But remember that everyone is on their own journey. You cannot force someone to take responsibility if they are not ready to do so. It is important to focus on your own responsibilities and lead by example. Neale, I see what you mean. But sometimes, it feels like the weight of responsibility is too much to bear. How do we cope with that? God, coping with the weight of responsibility is all about perspective. Remember that you are not alone in shouldering the burden. The universe is always there to support you, and so are the people around you. Take time for yourself, practice self-care, and do what you can to stay positive. Remember that responsibility is a privilege, and it is what makes life meaningful. Neale, thank you, God. Your words are always so wise and comforting. Is there anything else you would like to add about responsibility? God, only that responsibility is a key part of the journey of life. It is through taking responsibility that we learn, grow, and evolve. It is what allows us to make a difference in the world and in the lives of others. Responsibility is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Neale, thank you, God. Your words have given me a lot to think about. God, it is always my pleasure, Neale. Remember that I am always here for you, and that I believe in you. Neale, thank you, God. I appreciate your support. God, of course, Neale. I am always here for you, whenever you need me.